So right now everybody is focused on how the United States, and specifically President Trump, has reacted to the PRC's handling of this crisis, and most recently his decision from last night to cut off funding to the World Health Organization. I think criticism of the president is typical of what's going on right now in the United States, but the reality is that the president has a very good reason to question the PRC's handling of this virus. As we know from the University of Southampton, that reported that if action had been taken within the first 4 or 5 days, 6 days, that 95% of this virus could have been curtailed, and the devastation and the impact to people around the world would have been not nearly as much as it is now.
Today I'm instructing my administration to halt funding of the World Health Organization.
China has a pretty long track record, the People's Republic of China, that is, has a very long track record of this kind of pattern of behavior. And I think the world leaders should be very concerned about what China has done and the death and destruction, not only to human life, but also to our economies around the world. I think President Trump and his team have been very circumspect in the way they've described this. President Trump has tried to keep above the fray in terms of his relationship with President Xi, only in order to give himself some maneuvering room, because we know that the PRC has threatened to cut off medical supplies to the United States if they didn't change their behavior and say certain things. And we see this kind of pattern from the PRC across their Belt and Road Initiative. So this is not something that's just specific to the coronavirus, but is a way of operating that the Chinese should be criticized for. And I'm appreciative of that at least the President of the United States has been willing to stand up.
The World Health Organization's role in severely mismanaging and covering up the spread of the coronavirus. Everybody knows what's going on there.
And I think that as other Western leaders recognize that how vulnerable they are to Chinese control in terms of their supply chains, in terms of the critical supplies that China provides to these nations, I think more and more liberal Western democracies are going to understand that we're in a new era. Some have asked, are we in a second Cold War? I'm not sure what the right title is, but it's very clear that China has been pursuing a strategic objective, which they call the Great Rejuvenation of China, and which Xi Jinping has characterized as the Great China Dream. And their dream is to essentially supplant the liberal Western order with a Chinese version of what they call their global governance, a community of shared common destiny, if you will. This is what China speaks about, it's what they write about, it's what their diplomats go around and spread throughout the capitals of the nations of the world. And right now, the world should be taking notice that this same nation that says that they have a desire for a peaceful rise has inflicted such death and destruction on so many people through their not being transparent and covering up the source of this virus, and not providing, as even was reported yesterday, not even as of today, providing clinical medical sample data from the original Wuhan outbreak cases. Until the world gets access to that kind of source level data, we're not going to be able to solve the problem in a timely manner. And if China had provided that data, think about how many millions of people wouldn't have been lost or impacted, and how many thousands may not have died.